Hi guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. I'm looking at the New York Times, a former newspaper. Now, when I was a kid, I used to read the newspaper every single day because I was weird. I actually had an interaction with one of my old Sunday school teachers, and he said, "Oh yeah, you were like one of the only kids who knew who Terry Schiavo was." And I kind of said, "Yep, that was me." But I'm proud to say that my name is number one Marmaduke fan, and I have been fake news free for 4 years. I have not paid for any of these garbage fake news outlets. However, once in a while, I'll get one for free from a library or at a coffee shop or something, just to see, how bad fake news is doing after my breakup, and it's always spectacular. So this piece for the New York Times theater section by Amanda Hess. This is what I'd call maybe more sophisticated SJW-ism, where it's not just like petulant, yelling about something on Twitter. It's actually trying to make a point, and she actually does have a couple decent points I agree with in this, but my problem with this piece is it buries the lead. So her headline is, Broadway musicals have a man problem. From Kiss Me Kate to Tootsie, shows try to reflect today's gender politics. The actual story is that New York Broadway is censoring and revising plays and musicals in order to appeal to gender politics in ways that don't make sense. The buried lead is art is being censored and changed. To me, that's despicable. To me, you rob an art of its power when you censor it. You're saying to the artist, what you've created doesn't matter anymore. The very fact that you may have challenged us, that doesn't matter anymore. We want a safe, tepid art that doesn't offend us. Now, Amanda does kind of like call this out in the sense that she thinks this isn't an effective way of fixing the problematic elements, but she's doing so from the perspective that it is good that we are trying to fix these toxically masculine problematic elements in classic plays and Broadway. So opens up kind of like talking about I got to skip over some things. So she sort of directly acknowledges that in 2019, a central obsession of American culture is the reassessment of all its previous obsessions. We are reviewing our stories with a skeptical eye and banishing outdated plots on feminist grounds. So, explicitly, feminism is the reason we are changing and banishing certain plots. There are no plots that can be banished. All plots are open to artists. And any ideology which says that certain plots have to be banished, it's not the plots that need adjustment, it's the ideology. And then she kind of like points out that, sometimes, we watch these old things and we're confronted by ghastly new details. And I think some of these do an okay job without that much tinkering. I want zero tinkering. I want all of the offensive things from history available for me to watch on DVD and YouTube for free. All right, so there are a few plays here. There's Taming of the Shrew, which is a Shakespeare play, and then Kiss Me Kate, a fun musical based on that. There's Pretty Woman, which I haven't seen, so I'm going to skip over that, but apparently it kind of deals with like the sexy casting couch culture of Hollywood, and Tootsie, which is about a male actor disguising himself as a woman. I'm going to skip over the ones that I haven't read or seen. So Amanda kind of makes the point that the plays themselves are advertising some feminist twists. They're advertising that, hey, feminists, don't worry, we've fixed the original. This time she's rewriting the script. Literally, Amanda Green took her scalpel to the original Kiss Me Kate. Ooh, boy. That doesn't sound fun. Pretty Woman the musical has a feminist twist. Pretty Woman gets reimagined to be more 2019 Me Too-ish. Okay. Then she kind of like lays out her problem with these attempts of Broadway to fix these plays. It is rarely the women that require revision. The street-walking Vivian Ward, stage-dominating Lily Vanessa, and hard-scrabble Eliza Doolittle are not lacking in grit. An additional injection of strength risks turning them into bland, uncomplicated superwomen. No, the real problem with these stories is the men. So, exclamation point. Amanda recognizes the problem of Mary Sue, strong female protagonist characters. They're bland, they're uninteresting, they don't struggle with anything. So her solution to this, or the solution she sees, is you have to neuter the toxic men so that to remove the problematic elements. You can't make the women characters stronger. You have to make the male characters weaker in older arts, older plays and older musicals written by someone else. We can't preserve that artistic intent anymore. We have to neuter the men. Now, the difficult thing for Pygmalion is the Broadway adaptation of Pygmalion, My Fair Lady, changed Bernard Shaw's ending. Pygmalion ends with kind of a sad ending where they don't get together. The Hollywood version, they kind of leave it open, but the hint is that Eliza Doolittle and Henry Higgins get together, and it's romantic. So I actually don't mind changing that back to reflect George Bernard Shaw's vision, because that's actually getting back to an earlier author and an earlier author's intent. But I want you to hear the way she describes how the man gets tamed in the new version of My Fair Lady. So, when My Fair Lady opened on Broadway in 1956, Rex Harrison inflated Henry Higgins with such self-satisfied pomposity that he loomed frighteningly over everyone. You might say he was man-spreading into their space. He was old and he was mean. In the revival, Harry Haddon Peyton has instead reduced Higgins to an aloof but harmless man-boy. Ooh, I feel like I just lost an inch forever, and I'm never getting back just from reading that sentence. And then what's funny about this is they turned Henry Higgins from kind of like a toxic but brilliant man into a man boy. And then what does Eliza Doolittle do? She leaves because she doesn't want to put up with a little man boy. And so here's the thing. Where is it? I gotta find it. Okay, the real problem with these stories is the men. They are terrible, and yet they have the audacity to believe they can teach these women lessons. Henry Higgins can teach Eliza Doolittle a lesson, despite his flaws and his toxicity in the original version. The whole point is that Eliza Doolittle is essentially white trash. She's got that horrible Cockney accent. She's living in poverty. Henry Higgins kind of makes a boast that he can transform her into a lady using the science of linguistics. So he's kind of patronizing, he's kind of condescending, he's not really particularly concerned for her as a human being. He just wants to prove what a brilliant linguist he is. Then he coaches her. He has to push and challenge her to speak proper English so that she can be a part of higher English society. And some of the pushback between the two of them is that Eliza is very strong-willed and Higgins needs her to essentially follow his lead so she can actually learn what she needs to do. It's a pushback between two strong-willed people. That's great. So I actually kind of, even though I don't like the tendency of Hollywood to romanticize and make a happy ending for everything, there actually is a romantic setup in Pygmalion. It's just that George Bernard Shaw wanted kind of like a sad reflection on, George Bernard Shaw didn't write happy, sappy little love stories, and that's what Broadway wanted. And Amanda calls the happy ending a sexist farce. It actually isn't. If all Henry Higgins learns to do is to love and appreciate Eliza Doolittle as a human being, then it's actually very romantic, and he doesn't need to change and become a man boy for that to be romantic. It is a pushback between two strong-willed people, and he absolutely does have something to teach Eliza Doolittle, despite his flaws. In the new feminist think, if you have flaws, then you as a man have nothing to say to women. Women are above being taught lessons. Well, that's great if you're in the halls of upper academia, but for Eliza Doolittle on the streets of London, barely making ends meet, she has a lot she can learn from Henry Higgins. And actually, it's just a major blessing. The best day of Eliza Doolittle's life is the day that Henry Higgins walks into her life, just from a purely economic perspective. I'm going to skip over, Pretty Woman, because I don't know anything about it. So, Taming of the Shrew and Kiss Me Kate. All right. Taming of the Shrew, there's been tons of feminist literature about this. Like, my take on it is, William Shakespeare believed that wives submitted to their husbands, that the man was dominant in the household. Now, if you pay attention to the opening act of The Taming of the Shrew, I haven't read it since high school, but she's essentially out of control. She's not just a strong-willed woman; she is a childish, temper tantrum throwing woman. No one can tame her. No one can control her. She is a bad person. And Petruchio then pushes up against her in a contest of wills, and Petruchio wins the contest of wills. So the problem for feminists is that the man wins the contest of wills with the woman, and the woman submits to the man. But that's ignoring the context that the woman was a horrible character at the beginning of the story, and she's actually kind of become a mature person at the end of the story. But all they see is the gender politics, gender war side of it. Now, Kiss Me Kate is a comedic musical. I have much better memories of Kiss Me Kate than of Taming of the Shrew, because I was actually in a version of Kiss Me Kate. The musical Kiss Me Kate is a comedic, what if they put on the worst version of Taming the Shrew ever, and everything went wrong because the two lead characters had a similar contest of wills to the characters in the original Shakespeare play. And so Amanda calls Fred, who plays Petruchio, not merely gruffly paternalistic, but actually abusive. When it debuted in 1948, the toxic masculinity of its male protagonist wasn't just an unfortunate detail, it was the main event. Yes, the poster for Kiss Me Kate literally shows Fred spanking Lily, because that's the comedy of it. The comedy of it is that these are two strong-willed people, a man and a woman, who were married, they break up, they both have this sort of flawed causticness to them, and in their battle of wills, they butt up against each other, and Lily, actually both of them change, I think, but I'll get into that more. But the reason like Fred spanking Lily is funny is, I think, Lily actually smacked him before that, and she was acting like a child. She was upsetting the entire play. She wasn't doing what a good actress is supposed to do and being professional. So the comedic slapstick ending of Act 1 is Fred spanking Lily because she assaulted him. You shouldn't have to explain why a joke is funny, but the reason it's funny is it's a overreaction, or it's a disproportionate response to Lily's immature attack on Fred. That's why it's funny. So they cut that out, of course. They cut out one of the main events of the musical, one of the key, most iconic aspects of the musical. They cut out because they don't know how to portray that humorously and see that as part of the battle of the sexes. They don't know how to. They think that the presence of that itself is sexist, not that we understand that when Fred is spanking Lily, the musical is not telling us that men should spank women. It's comedy. It's supposed to be funny. Relax. But that's enough about the spanking. Let's talk about the actual character dynamics. So, it cuts the corporal punishment. They kick each other in the pants. Oh, that's funny. Kick. Take that, woman. Oh yeah, well, kick. Take that, man. Okay, well, kick. Take that one. Spanking's funnier. But the show's smartest move is to transpose Petruchio's character traits onto Lily's alternative love interest. So I've got to be careful here. I don't know if this is true of the original 1948 version, but in the version I was in several years ago, this is like 10 years ago, this is nothing new. So Amanda is describing this as if this is a brand new thing for this version of the play, and maybe this is a later addition to the script, but this is not something new to 2019. So for at least 10 years, and maybe in the original too, Lily has this love interest in Washington. And he's a military guy, and he says to Fred, women need a firm hand from time to time. So the implication is that the guy that Lily is interested in, because she thinks he's mature and he's a good, tough military guy, he's actually abusive. He believes that a man must use physical abuse to establish his dominance in marriage. And Fred doesn't like that. He kind of sticks up for Lily, and then Lily and Fred get back together. It's sort of like Lily learns that she was being stupid about Fred, and that's every romantic comedy. A man and a woman, they really like each other, but they're being stupid. The lady gets over being tsundere. The man becomes mature. They get together. I think that actually is a really good character moment for Kiss Me Kate, because then that means that the actual abuse is attributed to the rival love interest, and we understand that Fred, his toxic masculinity, doesn't mean he's abusive. He just is who he is. He doesn't meekly retreat when challenged. He pushes back. That's the romance of a tsundere character plot. And I think Amanda's just wrong about this being new to this version. This has been a part of the story for a good chunk of years, at the least. Maybe even all the way back to the original, but there's always been this sense that there's something that makes Fred different from an actual abuser. He's not toxically masculine. He is he's masculine. He's benevolently sexist, and it's not appropriate to call benevolently sexist people act as if they were actually abusive, really sexist wife beaters. There's a moral distinction between the two. And then Lily submits to Fred at the end, which is part of the romance. And then the song, I'm ashamed that women are so simple, has been changed to I'm ashamed that people are so simple. Ugh. Now, Amanda, to her credit, kind of recognizes that this is sort of just neutering the original. It's making it less legible and just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for Lily's character to sing, man, what's up with people? The point of I'm ashamed that women are so simple is that Lily has learned to appreciate Fred's masculine qualities, and now she's ready to follow him in a romantic fashion, not in a dominated, abused, hurt puppy fashion. She's learned to respect Fred, and Fred has earned her respect. That's the point of I'm ashamed that women are so simple. And the new version doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to take out the mention of women from that song title. So Amanda and I agree that this solution doesn't make much sense. It's trying to fix the play, but because some of this is central to the plot, you really can't fix it without destroying it. I'm getting too long. So I think I need to give Amanda a Red Pill Award for just a couple things she says about Tootsie. So she says about Tootsie, the play changes it so that Michael is punished for whose misadventure as a woman is revealed over and over again as a privileged power grab. Now, why is it, Amanda, that a man disguising himself as a woman would be a privileged power grab? Why would that be? Why would Michael, Amanda asks, a pushy middle-aged actor, have more luck as a pushy middle-aged actress? Amanda Heiss, congratulations. I hereby award you the Red Pill Award. Yeah, well, why on earth would a man dress up as a woman? Because he believes he get economic and a career boost privileges out of it. Why could that be, Amanda? Anyway, but then Amanda says something actually smart. The strong female character we hear so much about, the 2019 woman who is newly empowered in the wake of Me Too, has emerged as the new empty cliche for actresses to squeeze themselves into. Better than a strong female character is an interesting one. The left knows exactly what you're talking about when you say you don't like Star Wars because Rey is a Mary Sue. They know exactly what you're talking about when you say you don't like strong female characters like Captain Marvel who don't have struggle. They know what you're talking about, but some of them are either too stupid or they know what you're saying and they don't care because they perceive you as an enemy of representation. Feminists understand that there's such a thing as a Mary Sue. They understand that a strong female character isn't a character at all. We need to stop letting social justice dictate our conversations, and we need to start having actual conversations. Because I think that the toxically masculine story that is getting censored, and that Amanda Heiss raised zero alarm bells about these plays and musicals getting censored. I think that story gives women a lot of opportunity to be actually strong, to have actual development, to overcome actual struggles, and to have actual romance. Because the romance of toxic masculinity is that the man learns to be a better man and the woman learns to be a better woman. They learn to get over their immaturities and the things that are keeping them apart, and they get together at the end. Yeah, you can have a sexist story. You can have a story where the man is abusive and cruel and doesn't learn anything, and then it doesn't really make sense why he gets a happy ending because he hasn't earned a happy ending. But there's actually a much bigger problem of female characters not having to struggle and overcome anything. And for them to overcome and struggle anything, you have to have a mature enough worldview that you can allow problematic elements into your story, because this isn't just something culturally created. The back and forth between men and women is something that's in our art because we see it in life. Art needs to represent life, not the woke scolds of 2019. So, Amanda Heiss, thoughtful piece. I think she called out correctly problems in these attempts to neuter these musicals, but it just drives me nuts that Amanda Heiss can write about all of this and complain about men in these old plays, and she can't see the problem for the arts of censoring the arts to try to update them to our 2019 not our 2019 sensibilities, the 2019 sensibilities of the New York Times. I think that, we're in New York theater's in trouble if this is the direction we're going. So, I'm a normal Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. The entire Western civilization is collapsing, and it's hilarious. I love you guys, and I'll catch you later.